was just like when I sang Kirtan, that's the way it sort of came up with that flavour. And then I lost my voice for 5 years. I got very sick and I couldn't do much, and I had this message to go back to India. And when I was there, I go to Arunachala in the south of India, and it's my heart home. It's Shiva's sacred mountain. And I decided to just surrender to Mother India and the sacredness of Shiva in the mountain. And as I did, my voice came back, and all these chants, all these mantras, for my love of the divine and for Shiva and Ramana Maharshi and Ganesha, started to channel through.
You're listening to Karen Swain, teacher of deliberate creation, accentuating the positive, showing you a way to a better life.
Accentuating the positive, it's not just fad, it's sanity. Who in their right mind would accentuate anything else?
Clap along if you feel like that's what you want to do.
Hello, you're with Karen, accentuating the positive here on Soul Traveller Radio. I have another delicious guest for you today. So sit back, get a cup of tea and relax. For the next hour, we're going to have a fabulous conversation. She's a devotional singer, jazz musician, kirtan artist, mantra artist, and goddess, Alissa Nathaniel.
Hi, Karen.
Hello,
So great to meet you online again.
We've been having some fun with the text this morning. It's all wonderful because not only do we put this on Soul Traveller Radio, we're on iTunes and we're on YouTube as well. So we're trying to get, the video right as well as the audio. It's been a challenge, but here we are. Now, Alissa is, I deal with a lot of musicians because I'm on radio, have been for the last 5 years playing uplifting, positive, conscious music. And I've played a lot of kirtan and mantra, and I've never heard anyone, play it with your spin, with the jazz sort of R&B bluesy spin. So it's beautiful because jazz is usually about the blues, it's, you sing about your problems and so to have the jazz music and to sing about devotion and love and God, and that's just beautiful.
I sort of see it a bit differently. Yes, there's all of that underside, the shadow side, if you want to say that harder part of our being. But I also see jazz as an opportunity for freedom of expression. It's that improvisation. I can go anywhere. There are no limits. There are no boundaries to it. So I love the fact that for me, devotional singing is about freedom of consciousness. So when you bring these two modalities together, this freedom through sound, through voice, through, you can go, as I said, go anywhere with jazz. And the freedom of consciousness that comes with the expression of these mantras. I think they blend beautifully, personally. I mean, I know some people don't like it. Yeah,
well, actually, they do. I'm actually not a huge jazz fan. I was on a community radio station here in Sydney that used to be predominantly a jazz station, and a lot of the presenters were playing jazz, and I didn't. And people would say, "Why aren't you playing any jazz?" And I'm like, I'm not a huge fan of jazz, but I have to say when I listen to your music, I'm a fan of jazz. So there's something going on,
I wouldn't call it even traditionally jazz. I just think it's, it's got that flavour and that soulfulness, like it's a little bit of Sade, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. But I wouldn't put it just in that box either because, when you're singing devotional music, it's so much about heart. It's so much about intent, how you sing it, what comes from your expression is really what it's about. So I can't sing straight. What do? I've got to sing it this way, a little bit bent with a little bit of flavour and spiciness to it. And so, I stopped trying to fit myself into any one category, and I went, just express from your heart. So for me, I don't even see it really as Jazz Kirtan. I just see it as an expression that I cannot not do, if that makes sense. Yeah.
It's you. It's your heart.
It's you.
It's your heart song.
Yeah.
As Jerry Fee says, your love is my song. He's a Christian artist, music artist, and some of his songs are really beautiful. Anyway, your love is my song. Okay, so the journey towards where you are now has not been an easy one. Do you want to tell us, how did it all start? How did you start thinking about, devotional music, and what was your spiritual journey or your personal journey?
Personally, I don't know if I even thought about it. I just fell in love with the divine as a child. I used to sing love songs to God all the time. The man next door used to pretend to be watering the plants to listen to me, because I'd be going, I love the sun, I love the moon. I was one of these kids that would just be on the swing in ecstasy singing these songs of gratitude. I just was in love with the trees and the plants, and song was such an easy way of expressing that. And then about 17, I went to hang out in an ashram, and it's Satyananda ashram, and fell in love with Kirtan then. But I used to hang out with a hairbrush before that,
Okay.
in front of the mirror. And then became an acupuncturist and fell in love with frequency. And then from there, unbeknownst to me, someone saw me at a party, and he was a well-known Australian jazz musician, and he said, you should be singing jazz. How about you come and I train you? So I went to that world, went into the jazz and Latin world, loved it, but didn't like the lifestyle.
Okay, yeah.
And just sort of ran away from it after about 8 years, and went back to live in a yoga community. And it was just non-stop Kirtan. And by that point, I was so immersed in this sort of flavour of those Latin-y, jazzy, funky sort of soul sounds, nothing came out straight. It was just like when I sang Kirtan, that's the way it sort of came out with that flavour. And then I lost my voice for 5 years. I got very sick, and I couldn't do much. And I had this message to go back to India. And when I was there, I go to Arunachala in the south of India, and it's my heart home. It's Shiva's sacred mountain. And I decided to just surrender to Mother India and the sacredness of Shiva in the mountain. And as I did, my voice came back, and all these chants, all these mantras, but for my love of the divine, and for Shiva and Ramana Maharshi and Ganesha, and started to channel through. And before I knew it, I was singing everywhere in India, and people were asking for a CD, which I'd never considered.
So how long ago was this?
Oh, God, you're talking to someone that is out of time. I can't tell you. I have to refer to my husband.
Yeah.
He goes, how long have we been married? I have no idea.
Yeah.
And so I'd say this was about, I don't know, probably anywhere between 5 and 7 years.
Yeah.
5 years, probably. And so that was sort of my journey back. And the last 5 years, so I created this CD, and I decided that if I was going to create a CD, it had to be for something greater, because this was not my music. It did come through mountain. And so there are all these kids that I'm involved with in India, Shanti Children Project. And so that CD was dedicated to them, and so the proceeds for that went to them. And
So what was the name of that CD?
Sacred Soul Notes from Arunachala.
Oh, beautiful.
So,
well, let's put on one of the songs, and we'll come back and hear some more of your journey. Which one do you like the best?
Well, let's do Om Namah Shivaya, Arunachala. So it was when I felt called by the mountain to go back. So, yeah.
Beautiful. All right. Well, here's Om Namah Shivaya off the album.
And I replied, you held out your hand. I couldn't deny the silence in the storm. The silence in the storm. Om Namah Shivaya Arunachala. Om Namah Shivaya Arunachala. Om Namah Shivaya Arunachala. Om Namah Shivaya Arunachala. Om Namah Shivaya Arunachala Om Namah Shivaya Arunachala Shiva. You caught up my name.
You're listening to Karen Accentuating the Positive here on Soul Traveller Radio, the home of conscious music. We've just played one of your beautiful songs,
Arunachala Shiva, and thank you, Karen. Yeah,
I'm talking to Alissa Nathaniel today, who is a devotional musician, kirtan artist, no labels. It's hard to find labels. And we're talking, how do we find labels?
I
So
don't know.
she's just living her passion, letting the divine speak through her. You know, it's really interesting listening to your journey. I've spoken to a lot of conscious musicians, and unlike pop musicians or normal musicians, I mean, there's a label as well, but people that are not singing devotional music per se, they all do this healing work. Like, they're all healers as well as musicians. They've all, done some sort of healing work and had some healing crisis themselves. They've had their own
Absolutely.
health issues.
Yeah.
So life's thrown this trauma at them, or at us as healers, as all of us have had some trauma, whether it's personal emotional trauma or health trauma or something, where we have to find that healing within us and then share it with the world. Is that what you were going through?
Absolutely. And even recently, 2 years ago, I came back from Bali after creating CD number 2 and 3. And I was literally arrived back in Australia. I was supposed to fly back to sing at the Bali Spirit Fest. I was taken out totally. So I had an embolism and I couldn't breathe. And then a series of mini strokes. It's taken me 2 years to come back. And I know this sounds crazy, but I'm intensely grateful.
Absolutely.
So grateful for that opportunity to dive deeper. I mean, I wasn't in the beginning. There was a lot of anger. Mm-hmm. I felt like, why is it I'm supposed to be going on tour? Blah, 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 blah. I. And I think what it was about is the I was, my higher self was saying, we're going to strip that I away and we're going to take it out of the picture so that when you come back to sing this stuff, if you ever do, and I had to learn that nothing is permanent, that like everything is going to die.
Yeah.
And it could be my turn tomorrow. So as I sort of surrendered more into that and acknowledged the magnificence of that I am not this body. This is just a vehicle, a magnificent vehicle, a playful vehicle, a juicy vehicle that loves life.
That we plump and put
whatever, that goes out and loves food. I'm in Melbourne at the moment on tour, and oh my God.
In Melbourne.
Oh, heaven. Anyway, and that loves food and loves music and loves culture and loves life. But simultaneously, this being that is not this personality, that is beyond this personality, is, I know that my essential nature is who I am. Yeah. This is just the illusion. The Leela, they call it in Sanskrit, the Leela, and the game that we play.
The game. Look, anyone that's calling for that, this is really interesting because I talk with and deal with, and actually all my clients. So as a teacher of deliberate creation and a healer myself, I attract the difference makers. I attract the people that are, they're conscious musicians, they're healers, they're psychics, they're psychologists, they're whatever. But they're calling for a greater knowing. They're calling for a greater connection. They're calling their source into their, into their body. Yeah. And in order to establish that connection, you do have to let go of ego. And that is like a traumatic, that can be a traumatic journey. And because we hang on to our righteousness, we hang on to what we think we are, what we think we want. And that hanging on creates pain, whether it's pain in our body or pain in our heart. It can create some pain. So
absolutely,
it's such a journey of letting go.
it's the only thing, like everything is so impermanent. I love the Buddha saying, abandon all hope. And it was such a beautiful thing during that time. That's what I kept looking at everything around me. Go, just abandon all attachment to this stuff, Alissa. This is where the suffering lies. This is where the disconnection to all that is, to everyone, to your family, to your community, lies in this wanting to be separate. Let it go and come into something greater. And I agree with you. There is such a calling for us to awaken. You know, for me, this music, and, you know, this beautiful thing too, it doesn't matter whether I do it or don't do it anymore.
Yeah.
You know, that's the beauty in this letting go. I feel grateful and so privileged to be able to do what I love, but it doesn't matter because it's not who I am. It's just an expression. It's just an expression. Who I am is more. However, if people come and they experience this music and they have some sort of awakening or transformation, to me, that's what I'm here to do. Not you know, play a guitar, but open my heart more, open my intent more to see everyone in that state of wholeness.
Yeah, yeah.
And so in doing that, hopefully they can step into the music and that transports them there. You know, that's how I see it.
Absolutely. And I was having a chat with Ido Khan, you know, Ido.
Beautiful Ido.
Who was beautiful Ido. And he just reminded me of something because so we establish who we are. We sort of say, this is who I am. This is what I do. You know, fabulous channel that I spoke to last year, Paul Selleck says, his guides say, I know who I am. I know what I am. I know how I serve. And then we go out into life with that knowing. And then we get caught up again in the ego and how many people are listening and how many people are buying my CDs. And, you know, we get caught up in the numbers, how many people are viewing my interviews and all that sort of stuff. And Ido is kind of like, his guru said, you know, it's not about the numbers. It's just about one person awakening.
Totally. I used to teach yoga and I would sit in my room when I first started and there'd be one person. And I made a commitment that I would be fully present, whether there was 0 or 1.
Absolutely.
Because even in 0, if I'm fully in a state of consciousness, I'm being a part of something that creates change.
Absolutely.
Or if there's 1, then together we are creating that. And so on and so on. Is irrelevant. Yeah. Totally irrelevant. I totally agree. I love Ido. I was actually in India. I spent quite a bit of time in India and I went to visit him and his divine guru. I think it was
Amma.
Amma in December. And he's really something that Ido. He's just
absolutely. I felt like interviewing him was a healing for me. Like I just felt like I was just being healed on every level of my being. Yeah.
You know, and his journey of consciousness through all that he's been through, I have great admiration. Huge. What a journey.
Absolutely. And if people are watching this, head over to my YouTube channel. You can see the interview I did with Ido. You'll be healed. You'll be healed when you watch it. Anyway, and you went to India and you met his teacher.
Yes, yeah. Well, I go to Arunachala regularly because that is my heart home. I go there and it's, for me, I let go of everything, you know, and I just come into that space of connectedness with who I truly am. Yeah. And it's a very easy way to remember. But what's nice is I don't have to be there anymore for that to happen. It's starting to be an ongoing process of remembering. But I'm not this. I'm more than this. Yeah.
So the healing journey that you were going through just recently over the last couple of years, what brought you out of the illness? Or are you still grappling with the physical illness, or are you back on track physically?
I'm way better than I was.
Right.
I'm like way better. There are little ongoing life issues because, you know, we deteriorate.
Tell me
Our
about
bodies
it.
deteriorate. And so, you know, there are life physical health issues. And in saying that, it doesn't matter anymore. And the other part of it is that, this stepping back in, I had to make some really conscious choices in that stepping back in. And, you know, there was like 3 or 4 where I could choose life or death. And I had to allow myself to just go right down to the bottom of the well and see all of the stuff every bit of it on the way down. And then at the bottom of the well, I could actually choose, am I going to be here? If I'm going to be here, how am I going to show up? And, so every little step was, I had to make a conscious, okay, if I'm going to be here, I'm going to do this life thing. And how I'm going to show up is fully interacting on all levels. There's not going to be one part that is hidden. And I pray that, anything that is in that part of my being that is hidden, that it be revealed. Every part of my shadow is revealed. Every part of my magnificence be revealed, so that I'm fully here, awake, alive, in this body, doing what I need to do on a daily basis. Whether it's just hugging and kissing my husband, that can be enough, or whether it's, feeding kids in India. It doesn't matter.
Well, that's a challenge you've given yourself too, to be fully present in each moment. That is not, easy to say, easy to conceptualize.
Absolutely.
Try to be easy to do. And, you and I were talking about, as women, being on camera, as women, we sort of brush our hair and put our lipstick on.
Absolutely.
And we're still caught up in a paradigm that says that a woman has to look a certain way. And even though we're sort of, connected to the divine, do you think it really matters? But we think it does, like I do anyway. I get caught up with that. And especially when, the body deteriorates, you get older, you don't look like supermodels.
Tell me about it.
Because there's, this media bombardment with like what we're supposed to look like, and we're supposed to stay young and all that sort of stuff. It's like, and to just let go of all that and say, it just doesn't matter.
Well,
what matters is love. Like, what matters is being present in the moment and enjoying this moment. It just doesn't really matter what you look like.
Totally. And I think it's okay, because as long as you know it's a game, as long as you're not making it your reality, like this is the Leela, this is the divine play, I'm playing this game, it's okay. I know this is the part of my ego that I haven't been able to overcome. I know. That's okay, but recognize it for what it is. It isn't who I am. This expression isn't who I am. Who I am is so much more. It's connected to all that is. It's, that essential being that is beyond time, space, beyond all of this. So as long as it's in perspective, and I think we still live in these bodies, we've got to be able to function in them. And, but I agree with you. It's all garbage. It's all garbage. We all play the game, But,
we all play the game. But that part of us that is beyond all of this, does really enjoy the Leela. Like, it enjoys the play, the divine, the Leela, the show. Like, we would enjoy watching a television program, a movie, a tragedy, we enjoy going through the journey, the emotions, the sadness, the happiness. And it's to sort of don that perspective, like to look through the eyes of Source and to see all your tragedy and your stressful thoughts and your aging body and your failures with that enjoyment, with that love, with that bliss. Like,
absolutely.
Life wouldn't be as good if there wasn't all the tragedy,
We're given all of it because it's so juicy. And we get so addicted to each side. So I know I have been, I get addicted to the tragedy, I've been addicted to the bliss, I've been addicted to all of it, and trying to find that way in where I can sit in the center and go, there I am playing out that one again. And that one, there's that addiction to that bliss over there. And, to sit in the middle and see where it all fits in the scheme of things. And knowing that none of it is real. I just keep coming back to that line all the time. None of this is real. Yeah. I've actually written a song called Leela, the Divine Play. And I've got an English CD that's coming out this year of all inspirational songs that is called The Evolution of Love, and it takes you from unconscious love to conscious love, meaning the love story with the man to the love story with the divine, the self. And in this line it goes, and when I wipe away the veil, I know that none of this is real except the love that radiates from my soul's divine embrace. And it's what it's about. It doesn't matter. I can wipe it away and just see what's real.
Look, it's such a powerful message. I wish I could just inspire that with everyone I know. Like I see my friends, I see my relatives going through their struggles, and I want to give them that perspective, but they have to find it on their own. That's their journey. But that belief that the problems are who they are and that, it causes such suffering.
And we've all been there.
Been there.
Been in that space and continue at different times. Yeah. It's not like or suddenly goes, maybe it does at some point in the game, but, I remember reading a book by a beautiful, I think he was a Benedictine monk that went to live in India, and it was called Awaken. And he said, before I was enlightened, I was depressed. After I was enlightened, I was depressed, but who cares? And I just love that. That has been I've thought of that so many times when I've been going through my deep, dark nights of the soul and depression. I'm going, who cares? I do. You're a dramatic woman here.
Oh, dear, yeah. One of my favourite teachers is Byron Katie, and it's like Oprah asked her, do you mean to say that you haven't had a negative thought in 25 years? She said, no, I've had millions of them. I just don't believe them.
Exactly. That's the difference. And that's why I keep saying this line, none of this is real. Like, I can play out all these crappy things that go through my mind. It's just my attachment to it, whether I want to put any meaning on it that gives it its power.
Yeah.
And when I keep saying none of this is real, then I realize that it's only me that gives this power. Even thinking that bliss has to look this way, or I was a bliss bunny. When I lived in this yoga community, we'd have 36, 24-hour, 12-hour kirtans, and I would be in ecstasy. I was so addicted to the bliss and the ecstatic nature of chanting and going into those deep states. And then I realized that was just as much an attachment as the suffering that I was totally addicted to. Yeah. When it's going a bit better,
exactly. I was looking at a healer online yesterday, gorgeous, man who's doing some stuff in the country, and I was looking at him and everything he's saying was beautiful, but there was a part of him that was pushing against the city lifestyle. He's like, get back to nature and get back to your connection with the divine, and you find that. And I didn't disagree with any of what he said. Yeah. But what I found was that pushing against the other way of living. You see, the divine doesn't judge any of it as wrong. It's just an experience, part of the journey. So, yes, there is beautiful ways of being, but then life offers up on a platter huge variety to explore. And none of it is right or wrong. All of it is, part of the experience. And to be a healer means to stop pushing against any of it, really. To see it all as the divine play and all of it as worthy and,
Well, I think you're totally right, Karen. Really well said. And it's that separation, that duality, that swing, that has created the issues we have on this planet for Mother Earth. Look at it. The wars that we see, the children that aren't being fed, the lack, the total, it's that swing that is creating, not this, this is better than this, that is creating our problems.
Yeah.
If we can let go of that, and we all do it. We've all got judgments about this being better than that being, and I think that's, if we can somehow stop that swing and bring it more into the center, into that alignment, recognizing all of this is divine, all of this is God, Goddess, all that is. Mm-hmm. Nothing is separate. We are all one.
What's happening in the background there? There's a cat.
I'm in this friend's place.
It's a cat, right?
It's a cat.
It's a cat. Okay, let's put on a song. What are we going to play? Have you got Leela? Or is that coming out on the next album?
It's on the next album.
Okay, so
you know what's a beautiful song? It's an English one, and it's on the Arunachala Shiva one, and it's called Coming Home. And for me, it's like, who am I? I'm not my body. I'm not my thoughts. I'm not my conditioned responses, and I'm not my...
I've lost you. I'm not my... We've frozen. Let's put on Coming Home. Here's Coming Home by Alissa Nathaniel.
I'm coming home. I'm coming home. these thoughts or these actions, if I'm not my past and if I'm not my future, if I'm not my beliefs, then who am I? I'm coming home. I'm coming home. I'm coming home. Back to the heart of me.
You're listening to Karen Accentuating the Positive here on Soul Traveller Radio, and I'm talking with the absolutely delicious goddess, Kirtan Mantra Devotional Singer, Alissa Nathaniel. And we've been talking about the healing journey. You know, we've all been on a healing journey, whether it's an emotional or physical healing journey. And you were saying during the break, you were talking about your physical healing journey and insight that you came to. Do you want to tell us about that?
Yeah, I'd love to. Thanks, Karen. I realized when, there were times where I was months at a time, I couldn't function, I couldn't move, I was in bed or, lying on the veranda, feeling really sorry for myself. And then one day, and I was really annoyed that, because I've always believed in being of service and contributing and putting myself out there, whatever that meant, whether it was through yoga or acupuncture or music or whatever that world was, it always had to have a layer of service to it, And here I was, and I couldn't function. I couldn't go out of my home. I was stuck. And I realized that I didn't have to have a functioning body to be of service.
There you go.
I just had to be in love and see the light in everything and radiate that love and light out across the world, to my family, to my community, to all the countries in need, to all the children in need, to all the families going through this extraordinary devastation in these wars. And that this was my job, when people would say, what's your job? And I said, my job is to love. That is my job. And my job is to radiate love and light everywhere and to see everything as whole, even if it looked like it wasn't. To see the wholeness in everything. And I could do that from bed.
Wow.
I didn't have to move. And that was a real waking up time for me. I suddenly, it was beautiful.
Awakening. Wow, that is such a powerful message. It's such a powerful message. In this day and age where, yoga is so huge and everyone, I love JP Sears, he's just put out an interview with your yoga poses for Instagram, where again that perfection is so sought after, in order to look good, to do the right poses, to be the right, to do the right meditation, to make the money, that strive for success. And yet we can be of service in our failure to have health in our body. Yep. It's interesting as a healer and a teacher like you are. When I broke up for the first time with my second husband, I was beating myself up so badly because I felt like I was a failure. And as a teacher or a healer or as someone who's here to be of service to humanity, I was thinking I can't help anyone. Because I can't get it together in a relationship, you know what I mean? And that thought was the most torturous because I believed it. That was a torturous thought. It wasn't true, absolutely not true, but I was torturing myself with it and in this place of such depression. And I thought the depression was about the breakup of the relationship. The depression was the breakup of my connection to that love of self, to that love of that acceptance,
it's the most excruciating pain.
Wow.
We're not connected to ourselves. I think it's the most excruciating pain. I can tell you days upon weeks upon months where I couldn't get out of bed because of that pain, that dark night of the soul.
Saying I can't help anyone because I can't help myself.
Well, basically because I didn't know myself. I'm talking about the capital Ls. because I believed that all of this packaging that wasn't functioning, all of this not good enough stuff, that I'm not worthy, blah, 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 whatever belief structure that came in to support my negativity definitely came in, every bit of them. It kept me away from me, the eternal self.
Yeah.
Not Alissa the personality. Alissa the personality was really playing into every game possible.
Yeah.
But the part that knows, the part that is clear and sees the wholeness in everything and everyone, the part that only sees that,
Mm-hmm.
you know, that's what can burst out of these horrible times when we surrender into them. And I think that it's a gift.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the gift in the suffering.
Mm-hmm.
It's a true gift. And yeah. So I realised that's what we're here to do. And it doesn't really matter the vehicle. So whether you sing, whether you're in an office, whether you clean. I know I was in Santa Fe years ago and I met this divine Buddhist monk. And he was a refugee. And he had these very quiet little groups that would come to his place. And I asked him about his life in America, and he said, I sweep floors in a hospital. And he's like one of the highest Rinpoches in that order.
Wow.
I said, tell me about that. And he said, it's not who I am. And it is a privilege to clean for the sick. Wow. And I just went, I can cry now just thinking about this divine being, you know. He touched me so deeply. Here we are thinking, striving, having to be. And, you know, even the yoga world, they've lost the meaning. Yoga means union. It's not about a physical body. It's union. It's diving into that whole oneness. We think physical bodies are the way to it. It's lovely to have a beautiful physical body, but what if you don't? What if you're stuffed in bed and it's all broken?
Exactly. Yeah.
There's such union that can be dived into in that moment.
Inside our imperfections.
Inside our imperfections.
You know, there's so many amazing teachers out there that are teaching us that. I'm just sort of thinking about, there's that, is it Steve, what is his name? Stevenson. He's that little guy in a wheelchair. He's all...
Isn't he extraordinary?
Isn't he extraordinary?
What's his name?
Steven something. Anyway, and then Nick Vujicic, you know, who has no arms and legs. I mean, he's an evangelist Christian. He will tell you that, you know, you go to hell if you don't believe in Christ. But but at the same time, the fact that he just affects, you know, he's got like 1 billion people. He's talking to 1 billion people. He has no arms and like his imperfection is his perfection. Yeah. And even Prema Chodron, you know, like...
Oh, I adore Prema Chodron.
Isn't she divine?
Thank God for her book, When Things Fall Apart. That's all I can say. Yeah. It's really interesting, you know, we when I came back from Bali that 2 years ago, we also, at that point, my husband and I bought a house in an eco-village in Australia, and it was built by a Tibetan Buddhist nun. And she used to call it the Gompa. So when I was taken out, and I was really taken out, I was in this house. I happened to be in this house. And all these beautiful Buddhist teachings would come through when I would be in the still space. Not when I was raging against it, but when the still spaces came. You know, one of them was, Alissa, you cannot define yourself by your past, which we tend to do, and you cannot define yourself by your future. And that future was supposed to be Bali Spirit Fest touring. Yeah. And when that teaching dropped in, you know, beautiful, like, it doesn't, you know, you're not this and you're not this. So what are you? And yeah, anyway, Prema Chodron for me was a magical part. She's just a gift to anyone who's going through the struggle. Read When Things Fall Apart. It's something.
Oh, yeah. I'm falling apart right now, I tell you. I'm crying. It's so beautiful. Such a beautiful conversation. I have so many conversations with so many amazing people, and I have to say, I'm loving this conversation.
We are blessed for you, having you in our lives, because you bring this magic to people. You bring this awareness, these awarenesses, this wholeness. You're just sublimely gorgeous, and I love you very much. And I'm so grateful to be here talking with you. And
darling, right back at you. Bit of a love affair going on here, I tell you.
Not hard to do. I tell you what.
They call it bromance when it's two guys. What do you call it when it's two girls?
Girlfriend. best friend, BF, best friend.
Best friends forever.
I'm out of the loop these days. I don't know what.
Now, let's put on, how much time have we got back? Let's put on another song, and I want to come back and talk about what you're doing. You're traveling around at the moment. Obviously, you're in Melbourne, and you're traveling with another extraordinary being.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So let's come back and talk about that. But what should we put on next?
I think one of the goddess
songs.
It's from J Ma, Goddess of Devotion, which is my second CD. Maybe just J Ma. There's 2 J Ma's there. You can choose which one you like.
Beautiful. Let's put on that.
J Ma, J Ma. J Ma, J Ma.
You're listening to Karen, accentuating the positive here on the home of conscious music, Soul Traveller Radio. My guest today is the delicious Alissa Nathaniel, who is a devotional singer, mantra, kirtan, jazz, blues goddess. Anyway, no labels. Now, you're on a tour at the moment, Sounds of Divine Union Tour, and you're touring with another delicious being.
Oh, you're not wrong.
Shervin Bularan.
He'll probably get angry with me because I always get his last name wrong. But anyway, he wouldn't. He'll very quietly tell me. He's so gorgeous. Oh my God, he's just gorgeous.
So tell me about this connection. How did this come about?
Well, when I was in Bali, when I was doing that second CD a couple of years ago, Shervin runs the Sound Healing Collective. He's a sound healer, and he's really delicious. If you're in Bali, go to one of his events. And yeah, please do. It's really something. And I was there, and we met, and he invited me to sing at one of these events. Okay. And it was instant connection, and that's not hard. Everyone falls in love with Shervin. It's just easy. He's just so beautiful. But we felt like it was a bit deeper. We felt like we were brother and sister from a past life, and whether you believe in all of that doesn't matter. But we had this very deep old connection, and we both come from multicultural backgrounds, and so he's Persian. I come from French, Russian, Greek, everything. There's a real connection. And I think we recognized our deep love of the divine in each other, and that was where we really met. And when he sings to the divine, my heart just soars. He's got this ethereal, angelic voice. It is so rich and juicy. And then I've got this deep voice, so, that sort of more bassy voice. And so and he does the same. When I sing to the divine, his eyes roll back. So we have this mutual admiration. We're each other's greatest fans. Right. And I said to him, why don't we do something, So we got together, and we've done this thing called the Sounds of Divine Union Tour. And within that tour, there's 2 events. One is a 2-hour event called Songs for the Beloved, where we've blended different our original songs. Some of them are English, some are Sanskrit, some are Farsi, and like Sufi poems. And we've blended our voices, and we're doing this interplay. So it's not. It's a concert. It's kirtan, and then at the end we do a sound healing, and it is so yummy. It's so yummy, and we've just had the best response. People are loving it, which has been joyous to see that. And then the second part is we do a half or a full day workshop called Sounds of Divine Union. And the whole aim is, once again, to take voice, sound, and the healing aspects of those. And you don't have to have any experience, so that people can dive into their own essential nature, get an experience of who they are through these vehicles. Mm-hmm. And then we do something within the workshop called Romancing the Other, where we use sound and voice to move into the group consciousness and romancing another. And then we take it out further to really, go into those realms of ecstatic union with all that is.
Wow.
It's the most amazing workshop, I have to say. It's life transforming. We were just watching people pop all over the place, coming home to themselves.
Wow.
It's beautiful.
It sounds beautiful. But your tour's coming to an end. Are you going to be doing it again?
We are. Yeah, because the response has been great. And I've just only been able to grab him for a couple of weeks. So he's out from Bali. And then he's going back to Bali and then Europe. We were talking about doing America at the end of the year and taking this to America. But we've decided...
Okay, I'm going to introduce you to someone who will love what you're doing in America.
Oh, thank you. That'd be awesome. Mm-hmm. But we've actually just decided yesterday that we're having such a gorgeous time in Australia that we'd like to come back and do New Zealand, Australia, and Singapore and Thailand. So we're looking at those areas at the end of the year, and next year we'll set up the tour for America and Europe.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah.
So just to make it easier for all of us. So this feels right, and we got excited. We went, more, yum.
So you haven't got anything recorded of the two of you doing your thing, have you? You need to do that too.
Well, that's what we want to do. So when we get next, we'll put together
an EP.
A CD. Yeah, absolutely, because it's different. It's really quite unique.
I'd love to hear it. Now I want to hear it.
I know. It's really
I have to come to where you are, but I can't.
We're doing it tonight in Richmond.
Yeah. Oh. Has anyone, done any filming of this?
Well, one friend did, but it wasn't the greatest. So we had hoped to get that, but both of us are a bit slack at that side of it. We get so caught up in just what we're doing, which is so funny, that we forget about those things, and we go, we haven't got any promo, we haven't got a video. And
you see, this is where you need a manager to do all that sort of logistics
stuff. Well, if you know anyone, Karen, we are looking for one.
I don't. Actually, I do. Anyway,
Okay,
I'll think about that later. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thanks. Because that's the hard bit, when you just want to pour all your heart and love into this expression of the divine, and when you've got to do the logistic stuff, it makes it a little challenging. But
absolutely.
Absolutely, it's been so much fun doing this with him. Mm-hmm. And so beautiful, and there's a lot of joy and heart in what we're doing. We laugh a lot. Yeah.
Beautiful. Darling, I can't tell you what a joy it's been.
Ditto.
Speak with you today. It's just been so beautiful. Where can people find out more about you? What's your website?
Sure.
Where's your music?
My music is on iTunes. You can also go to www.alissa, ALISSA, Nathaniel, NATHANIEL.com, and both CDs are there, which you can buy in physical form, and they can be posted out to that site, and you can have a look at all the events that we're doing. I'm a bit slack at that side of it, but I am trying to keep it up to date, and iTunes also have both the CDs, and please join my mailing list if you'd like to hear about the Evolution of Love, the English CD, which is coming out this year as well.
Beautiful. Beautiful. And I'll get it uploaded too. We've got a little shop on Soul Traveller Radio too. So if people want to support Soul Traveller Radio, you can go there and you can buy it from the shop there, and we get a little percentage of...
I love that.
get a little percentage of all the sales, but I'm not sure. It obviously depends on who your distributor is. It needs to be put out there.
Okay.
So, darling, it's been so gorgeous talking with you today.
Oh, Karen, you are a gift.
You are a gift. What song should we finish with?
Well, let's do a juicy goddess one. I love this song. It's Kali Ma, and I just got to tell this. Can I just tell the story quickly? When we were making this, I produced this CD in Bali, and everything, Kali's got this energy that's chaos and wonderful, but everything would go wrong. First of all, she wanted to be a rock chick, and the song was just awful because I don't do rock chick Kali Ma. And it just sort of kept transforming, and eventually it came into sort of this gypsy flavour. And what I love about when I first launched it, I was in India, and we did the CD launch, and I was telling people how Kali's got a mind of her own, so don't expect the unexpected. And we're right in the middle of the song, and everyone's going, Kali Ma, Kali Ma, Kali Ma, and all the lights go out. All the electricity goes off. So I don't know what's going to happen when you play it, but turn it up loud because it's great.
So I love it. So enjoy the chaos, stop resisting it. Stop wanting everything perfect. Love the chaos.
Because as soon as you love it, it's sort of, there's a spaciousness in there, and anything, pure potential is available in that moment. Absolutely. Anything can happen.
Absolutely. All right. Well, let's go out with Kali Ma. Thanks again, darling.
Loving you so much.
You.
Thank you, darling. It was so beautiful. Bye.
Yamuna Ganga Kali Ma Daga Devi Kali Ma Daga Devi Kali Ma Yamuna Ganga Kali Ma Yamuna Ganga Kali Ma Daga Devi Kali Ma Daga Devi Kali Ma Yamuna Ganga Kali Ma Oh Yamuna Ganga Kali Ma
Thanks so much for joining us for another enlightened conversation on Accentuate the Positive. If you would like spiritual guidance from my guides, Blissful Beings, go to karenswain.com for a reading, or to listen to more enlightened thought leaders share their wisdom. Go to the listen page on karenswain.com and choose who you want to listen to. All the podcasts are also available on iTunes. Remember to check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, you name it, we're there. Until next time, bye for now.